We carry the most advanced piece of technology ever created in our pockets, and the average person now spends 4 to 7 hours a day on their phone. Over a lifetime, that adds up to about 10 years. The problem isn't the technology itself. The problem is that nobody ever taught us how to control our attention while using it. If you can do that, this same piece of kit can help you work better, think more clearly, and actually enjoy modern life instead of feeling pulled around by it. Modern life is addictive by design. Now, what does that mean? When we hear the word addiction, we tend to picture something extreme, like drinks or drugs, but most addictions don't actually look dramatic at all. It looks kind of ordinary. What I mean by that is many of us may not even realize we're caught in it. In fact, studies show that people underestimate their scrolling time by around 40 to 60%. Some people might say they spend 1 or 2 hours scrolling a day, when the actual number is close to 3, 4, even 5 hours. And behaviors like scrolling or checking your phone seem harmless on the surface, but from a neural standpoint, these behaviors are becoming more and more compulsive in modern day life. Researchers found that heavy short-form scrolling is associated with reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain responsible for impulse control, planning, and self-restraint. The way I like to think about it is, if your brain were a car, your prefrontal cortex would be the brakes. It's what slows you down, helps you pause, and stops you drifting into behaviors you later regret. When that system is constantly overstimulated or fatigued, impulse control becomes harder, not because you're weak, but because brakes aren't working well. Zooming out a bit, this isn't happening by accident. We live in a world where attention is the new currency. Through globalization and digital platforms, never before have companies had access to so many people so directly at all times. That doesn't mean we have to be slaves to the system. The important thing, and the hopeful thing, is that attention is trainable. There are real, measurable skills that any of us can develop to take back our attention, our focus, and ultimately how we live our lives. Okay, so let's start with the practice itself. First, it's important to sit somewhere quiet. No phone, no distractions, and no one around if possible. Sit upright, close your eyes, and stay awake and alert. You're not trying to relax, and you're not trying to empty your mind, you're just watching. Urges will come up. You'll want to check something, to move, and just stop the practice. Instead of reacting, you just notice them. Your breath in this practice becomes the anchor, something to hold on to, something steady to return to whenever you feel pulled away. This simple act of staying with discomfort without immediately resolving it is what psychology calls controlled exposure. And it's meant to feel uncomfortable. It's kind of the whole point. In fact, around 80% of people report restlessness, boredom, or intrusive thoughts within the first few minutes of sitting still. And that's not failure, that is the whole training. When you stay, you teach the brain that urges don't need to be obeyed. This is known as urge surfing. You don't need long sessions either. Research shows that even brief daily practices, just a few minutes a day, lead to measurable improvements in attention regulation and impulse control within weeks. Even 3 minutes a day is enough to start. An important thing to remember, at some point your brain will start making excuses to escape discomfort. Things like, you're not good at this, your back hurts, this isn't working. These are the most pivotal moments where, if you can, feel your breath, stay seated, and finish the practice. This is where the change is happening. These moments. So, what actually changes over time? Interestingly, it's almost the opposite of what we see with heavy scrolling. Brain imaging studies show that regular stillness practice is linked to stronger activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain involved with impulse control. In simple terms, your brakes get better. And this isn't about phones. The same thing shows up with binge eating, substance use, pretty much anything people say they do against their better judgment. Here's the part most people miss. The urges don't just disappear. You'll still want the thing. You'll still feel that pull. What changes is how much power that urge has. Instead of being dragged into the action, you're able to step back and just watch it happen. And when you can do that, the urge starts to lose its grip on you. Studies back this up, showing that stillness and breath-based practices weaken the link between urge and behavior, and reduce reactivity in the amygdala, part of the brain that drives emotional and impulsive reactions. This is where willpower gets misunderstood. Willpower isn't about getting rid of urges. It's not about never wanting the thing in the first place. It's about being able to see the urge clearly and knowing it doesn't get to make the decision for you. That's not failure, it's just being a human being. And from that place, where there's space instead of compulsion, people tend to choose better. Not because they're forcing themselves, but because they finally have a choice. So, when we put all of this together, the picture becomes a bit clearer. Modern life isn't broken and technology isn't the enemy. We're just living in an environment that constantly pulls on our attention, often faster than we can notice. And without training, attention gets hijacked. Stillness isn't about escaping that world, it's about learning how to stay in it without being pulled around by every urge. It gives you space between feeling something and the acting on it. And in that space, you get choice. That's what this is really about. Not becoming perfectly disciplined, getting rid of urges, and forcing self control, but learning how to relate to your mind in a way that gives you more freedom. In a world designed to capture attention, that might be one of the most valuable skills we can develop. This is what I'm exploring here on this channel, how to live well in the modern world. My simple aim with this channel is to make this practice more accessible to more people. If you found this useful, you can subscribe for future videos like this.